So funny.
Good evening, everybody.
You think we're saying hello to anybody?
Yeah, we're saying hello to some people.
When we first turn it on?
2 to 3 people.
Well, so we're saying hello to somebody, but
Somebody write first. Somebody write first.
everybody who clicks play, tonight or tomorrow, they're gonna see that will be the first time someone says hello to that person.
Hello.
This is true.
You.
Yeah,
Did you
so
do
it's
the
like
check?
just a way to sit
Not the
inside.
now, but the then.
The then now.
Yes.
See,
I do know.
you're a lawyer. You know all about
Yeah.
that. All right, so we
Lawyer
got some
speak.
music
We
from. Do I need a special code?
Yeah, give you a little thumbprint.
Don't watch.
Don't watch
Don't
it.
steal his thumbprint password.
See?
All right, guys, let's get ready to do this. Thanks for hanging out with us, by the way. In case you're already hanging out with us, we really appreciate you guys. We'll make sure we'll get a checker outer. Do we have a checker outer? Is someone?
Checker outering.
Kev D.
someone-
Light over there.
Does anyone checker outering tonight? We'll make sure.
Yes.
We'll check. There we go. The then. That's the then now. That's the
See
second.
how
That's the other
sophisticated
than
this
now.
whole operation is.
The now. This is like in Spaceballs. We could fast forward through this
on,
whole
by the
thing
way,
if we wanted to.
Let's try not to lose any listeners
if you
before,
get
we,
the
get, before we get started.
Helmet.
Well, I think that's a lost cause.
We'll just put that in the then now, right? Yeah. Sorry, I tried to jump in and
I think it worked. I think you did okay.
I do my best.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Tuesday night. Feels great to be back in the basement on a. Is it still dark out there? The daylight savings time? Is it light on Tuesday nights? I don't think it is, which is perfect for me for the basement podcast dwelling tastes.
Yeah, running out of savings is perfect for me as well.
Running out of
enough.
savings as well. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo, joined by Tim Strachan.
I don't know what it saved. And with a 6-week-old baby, and then you throw a whole hour that you lose into that equation. Good Lord, man. Tired.
Tired.
But I'm here.
You are. Yeah,
Ready to go.
As you always are.
Well,
ready to
yeah,
answer the
most
call.
time.
Kevin Ricka.
Hey, old T-Bird, you're going to catch up back with this when the fallback occurs.
Yeah.
But right now, we got a mess to talk about in the spring forward.
Oh, it's awesome stuff.
Matt, the real deal seal.
Lots happening here. Definitely.
All right, I think people can hear you. Make sure. I know you're
Oh,
not too shy about that. There you go. There you are.
Yeah,
Peach
yeah,
sweaty.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, this is the WCAC Spectacular. We thank you all for joining us to talk about the greatest high school sports in the land. I'll take you back about 2.5 months in this very basement on a separate Tuesday night. Also, it was dark that night. I remember it well. And we talked about our wishes for the coming year, our Christmas wishes, our New Year's wishes. And after some people wasted their thing with like world peace and an end to this and whatever, I think I went after. Multiple people went
Hold
after
up.
a national championship. Well, I was a legitimate thing because we actually had a chance at it. A national championship out of the WCAC.
Our Christmas
I was there.
wish.
Christmas wish. Happened. Yeah.
It was just a wish.
That is what we wanted, to get it, to see it, to watch it, to bring it to the world. The St. John's Cadets girls team, who we brought to you multiple times in the regular season and throughout the WCAC tournament, they are potentially gnawing at that prospect.
They're getting a chance.
Well, they were going to be sitting there at 35-1, guys, and you've heard me say this in the broadcast, 35-1, and of course, in this day and age, everyone wants to know who they lose to. You don't want to talk about the 35 dubs against 10 top 25 teams and a ridiculous McNamara squad and a
There's only
WCAC
1-1.
title, followed up with a DCHSSA title and everything else. They're going to have that opportunity now. They're going to play for it on the hardwood, and I think it was very progressive by the WCAC.
That's right. Not normally what they have supported in the past
No, they've
as a conference.
in fact, Matt Seal can attest as someone that's been taking photographs at this national championship when it was held at Georgetown Prep for a stretch. They just, it seemed like April was too late, and we do our things and we have spring sports, and I understood that immensely. I think this was a special situation, and I really love that our conference is, like I said, progressive, smart, and understanding enough to say, let's let this be decided on the hardwood. Instead of all of us watching to see if Miami Country Day could possibly lose, so St. John's could move into that one spot, which they held for the beginning of the season, which McNamara held for another good portion of the season. And and both those teams had wins against all these teams, which Miami Country Day does not. It's now going to be decided on the court.
Yep. It's going to be fun to watch because we will be able to watch it. Shout out to Coach Scribner. John Scribner, a neighborhood friend of the show, been in this basement plenty of times. He'll be in this basement plenty times more. Awesome job. Awesome to see him get the chance to coach in that game. I think it might go without saying, but I'll say it. I think that they should consider at least bringing in a consultant role, Vinny Moore and Jr. as a team manager, maybe as just like a travel guy.
He's done a lot of play, man.
Buckets, kid.
Yeah, I
That's
think
right.
he definitely has potentially earned the right to rep the cadets in a managerial role. Just
We
food
got to
for
get
thought.
him on board at
Just
any
food for
role.
thought.
First Amendment Sports needs to bring young Vinny
we
in.
need an
I
intern.
thought he was going to
Yes.
say
We need an
First Amendment
intern.
Sports.
Oh, he's my
That was
he's my
even
vote.
better.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Second that.
Without a doubt. No, Ken knows what he's talking about when it comes to this. And what a starring role he played. As I got to talk to his parents about it this past weekend, I was thanking them. They were very nice. They said, appreciate it. I said, listen, as we're talking about him, he rolls over, glad hands press row.
Oh, yeah.
In the midst of hitting 7 of 8 threes, putting on a Pistol Pete dribbling display in front of the packed raucous crowd.
It was amazing.
It was just, he's the perfect straight man. And
A
you know
great
what?
memory.
Yeah.
in our first
we got to
year.
figure out. I understand Towson, possibly Maryland, whatever it is. Let's get him on board. Let's get him doing stuff because he's got that magic touch.
He
He's born
does.
for this.
He absolutely does.
Well, but bringing it back to the girls real
Yeah, I was
quick.
just gonna go ahead.
You're right about the WCAC. We're right about the WCAC in that it's like the equivalent of waiting for the river card, right? Let's put the river card and see how we're doing, and then they're going to let it ride. And I think it's awesome. The way that they've played, the way that Scribner's got this team to play, and getting to know these girls has been awesome. So that alone gives me this personal interest, and hopefully those that have been listening to us and watching us and getting to know them as well, gets behind this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome because of the girls and
Because of
the
the girls.
balls that they play. And Coach Scribner deserves huge accolades. And if we're going up into a 1 through 4 seeded top 4 teams in the nation, and you get down to coaching, and there's a month off, guys, there's gonna be a lot of decisions that have to be made. What do we do? How do we work this? It's like a Super Bowl 2-week situation, but it's double that. I don't think there's a better guy for the job than Coach Scribb, who's been up against it in these national games and these situations for eternity. And these girls, these seniors, Malu, Shatenge Mutombo, Carly Rivera, Alex Cowan.
It's like a video game. It's like a video game where none of the players get tired. When you turn the fatigue off and you just play with your favorite players for the entire game. That's the St. John's roster. They have plenty of good girls on the bench. Don't get me wrong. But he plays a short bench, and it's fun to watch because it works. It's been very successful, and I would say it gives me some pleasure. Maybe not great pleasure, but some pleasure, and I'm sure you guys can all join in. Listen, in the football season, we said it. We didn't shy away from it. That the St. John's football team was angling towards being a worthy national champion
opportunity
high school
was
team
there,
in this.
sure.
And kudos to the cadets, top to bottom, Griff, and that whole athletic department, Pat Ward, because this is something to be proud of if you're a current or former cadet. And it's a big deal for the WCAC, but I certainly feel good for you guys. That's awesome.
Well, you know what?
And it's meaningful.
It is great. And you know what? It wasn't like, that happened and we were like, oh, man. But as far as First Amendment goes, that Gonzaga-DeMatha game, it sure helped things around
Yeah,
here.
it was good for us.
But I will say this before you get ahead of yourselves, before I let us get ahead of ourselves, when you talk about these girls not getting tired, and I've said it once before, I just really want to shout out Mike Ward, Matt Smith, the performance training deal over at St. John's. They've reaped what they've sown. They've got to be so proud. These young ladies have put the effort in, and these two guys have laid out the game plan and the framework for it, and it seems to be a match made in heaven because I don't understand how Carly Rivera just does not get tired. I don't get it. I don't need to get it because watching her makes me tired. So maybe I should call
It's
up.
Mike Ward.
That's how I want my girls to. I want them to sit down and watch Rivera play because she plays the game right.
Keegan Tier often says his
Unbelievable.
daughter's favorite player is Carly
Yeah.
Rivera, aside from the obvious.
I got to shout out my niece, Callie Walsh, came and made her sign for the St. John's McNamara game, and she found out some news today that brought her to tears as a fan of everyone's favorite, Miss Azzi Fudd.
Yeah,
I hope I'm not spoiling
No.
what we're getting to next, but
No, that's what we're getting to.
something happened in this conference today that is historic, monumental.
Well,
First Amendment.
yeah, it's First Amendment. It's more First Amendment than monumental, but
Momentous. Just guys, we all saw it. Gatorade awarded a sophomore for the first time in the history of the most prestigious award, I believe, in the nation for a female athlete. A sophomore won the National Player of the Year award today from the WCAC, Miss Azzi Fudd.
yep.
Congratulations, kid.
We all saw it. We had Elena Della Don show up with a trophy with all her family, teammates, and classmates outside of the building at St. John's College High School and surprised Azzi with a video. And, I mean, this couldn't have happened to a more classy young lady.
That's right.
Our interview has hit me like a ton of bricks. Post-championship, guys, we were all right there. When she came over and we rattled off Alex Cowan's minute and a half of amazing box stat-filling championship basketball as a senior, and she was just... It just hit you at that moment. She was just the most sweet, polite 15-year-old. She was so happy for her friend. She reached over, gave her a big hug, and said, Alex, well, oh my gosh, wow, what a great job. It just hits you. That assassin on the court is just a lovely 15, 16-year-old girl.
Humble kid. Yep.
Humble is the best word to describe, unless you want to get into hardworking, because I don't know how you can do either one better.
And the awesome part is because we understand her commitment to getting better and to being good, and she's a sophomore National Player of the Year, and she'll figure out a way to get better and dominate teams. She had 19 of 22 first half points for the Cadets in that championship game. She didn't have to carry it necessarily in the second half, but you get the impression that she could and probably will multiple times throughout the next 2 years of high school basketball, which will be super fun to watch. 2 more years of making it look super easy.
The Gatorade video they did to give her shot of fame, and then talk about why she won the award and everything she's done. 3.75 grade point average, I believe. Maybe.
Well, she applies it not just to basketball too, which is what makes it a great story, right? I mean, we hear all these stories about the best basketball players in the country and all this stuff, and they're just basketball all the time. But she applies it to school. She applies it to life. Scribb, I just remember one night he was here. And we just asked him how what's it like, and he goes, it's not even fair. And then the next day she shows up and she made cookies the night before. It's just like he's like she's just a great 15-year-old kid, and wants to be a 15-year-old kid. And I hope she gets to be a 15-year-old kid. That's the other thing we have
wish
to keep
her the
in mind.
best.
Just
Yeah, T. That's very important as a community,
remember, you're
as a
kid.
WCAC community.
Yeah.
I think what we all need to focus on is celebrating this tremendously well, and then embracing and then taking care of our own, because unfortunately, social media is not a decent place sometimes.
It's not always
and you know what? But if we have the
tasteful.
ability to look at, we've always looked up to the guys that played ahead of us.
Sure.
Called them our big bros.
Yep.
I am so proud as a WCAC guy, as a St. John's guy. I can attest to this. We think she's like our little sister. We just want to look out, want her to do well. One of the things that stands out to me is Ken and I got to American University on semifinal night early. First two people in the building, except for Katie and Tim Fudd coaching the squad. But Katie Fudd was in the stands.
Yep.
Played against my sister, coached against my sister, friends with her for a long time in the basketball community. She's up there braiding Carly Rivera's hair while people are coming up and asking her like hard-hitting questions. And she's like, listen, she kept saying, we're doing hair over here.
Hair's priority right now.
But you get the understanding of the community, of the family that Azzi Fudd talked about when she accepted the award. She said, this is a family award, not just my family at home who's been nothing but amazing, but my family here at St. John's, my teammates, my classmates. It's really all of ours. That's a sophomore in high school with the wisdom of, like Coach said, he said, as a basketball player, a seasoned veteran. Well, that's on and off the court, and it's very evident to be around.
And we look forward to doing a lot of St. John's girls games next season. We did some, obviously, in our inaugural season, but it's our intention, without a doubt, to bring you not just St. John's. It's going to be important to bring you St. John's. It's going to be important to cover St. John's for the next 2 years because it has returning sophomore National Player of the Year. So that's just out of the gate, absolutely. But what was it? Maryland Player of the Year, DC Player of the Year,
gonna say,
and Virginia
Azzi
Player of the
Fudd,
Year.
before she got the national, was the DC.
Yep.
Virginia, Seal,
Ashley
Owusu,
Ashley Owusu.
who, wow, I mean, she's a top 5 player in the country right
Yeah.
now in
Yeah.
her class.
Ridiculous.
And she missed some time this year.
And she was
you how
injured and
impressive
came
that
back.
is.
She was so impressive to watch at American University. And Jakia Brown Turner, who we
JBT.
we did JBT, the Maryland.
Yep,
Hey,
player of the year.
how about this? Any others conferences out there that want to talk about a little something? Come at it.
Try.
We
Yeah.
got Virginia, we got Maryland, we got DC, and the nation on lockdown,
The
and we're
DMV
competing
covered.
for a national championship right here in
Yeah,
town.
good luck.
Right in the
good
league.
luck to the
Yeah,
Lady Cadets. Everybody's behind you.
Oh,
And
can't
exactly, and
wait.
that's what I love about First Amendment sports. Like we've been all in on this already, and you know we're how many other podcasts are you going to go to where you're getting a primer on the next year's girls high school basketball season for people who give a crap about it. I mean, yeah, but beep about it. Man, it's going to be awesome. And then I'll tell people, yeah, like 8,000 people tuned in to watch that game, or 12,000 people tuned in to watch that game. That's what it is.
I think it got to the point where it was right around 20,000 total views on the 3 St. John's McNamara games and 3 sold-out venues. Young ladies, no one has ever done that before you.
Nope.
I was so proud to be a part of it. We all were. I'm not speaking just for myself, obviously. It was so exciting, and it was such a high-level brand of basketball.
Yep.
So happy to read that today with the experiences we had. And like I said, all of us have daughters, all of us have sons. We all have Uncle Matt to attest to that. It was what an example was set by all the ladies, the way they played the game, the level they played the game. And I know my niece, Callie Walsh, sat there and said, I can't believe this is what I want to do. She's 9, guys. She's 9. And I said, you know, and her favorite part was the post-game interview and how cool Alex Cowan and Azzi Fudd were. She got to hear them talk.
Yep.
These are her idols right now, the same way the Lawrence Motons
I was going to
of
say
the
Lawrence
world.
Moten or Al.
And listen, in my world, my cousin Mike Armstrong, Tommy Mulliken, Johnny Dessler, they were my idols there at St. John's. Jay Williams. Kevin Plank messed with me a little bit, but I had Jay had my back. But these are the guys I looked up to. They were like my big bros, and it's so nice to be able to put a little shine on something that deserves it more than anything.
Yep.
We just lucked out.
We are we feel lucky, and we look forward to being at all those games next season. And we're not ready to put basketball all the way to bed yet because the boys are also still playing. The Alhambra tournament was this past weekend. I believe your boys did all
Got their
right.
ship. They got their ship in the Alhambra. That was always a good way to end the season. We talked about
Yep.
that last week. Hunter Dickinson got MVP. I haven't seen it in person yet, Hunter. Please, I mean, either I don't need to go to your games anymore, or please show me in person. But congratulations, way to go to my Stags. Way to end it strong. But the whole WCAC was also represented there as well.
Final Four, back-to-back years.
Yep.
And it was the same matchups from the tournament we covered. Same exact situation. Now, obviously, the level of competition, the team switched to get into the championship. DeMatha pulled it out. Paul VI pulled it out. The opposite of what happened in the semis in the WCAC. But it's just ridiculous to watch these guys play. Mike Jones going 33-5 in back-to-back years. And the one thing that jumped out to me, if I were to tell you guys that Justin Moore is the all-time win leader in the history of DeMatha
Yeah, I
basketball.
saw that. That's incredible.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. I mean,
It's a big deal. That's a
it's
big
different-
stat.
It's
Yes,
a
it
different
is.
game these days. We didn't play that many games. I think the most we played was like 33.
Yes, we were right. We were right in the early 30s.
like
Alhambra put
that.
us at
So,
like
I mean,
31 to 33.
The numbers are what the numbers
Yeah.
are. It's still that's an incredible feat, and just again goes to show why he's going to a program like Villanova.
I don't care about points. Is it like when you said stat? You're right. That you can walk around
Well,
the
that's what Jay
metropolitan
Wright-
area.
that's
the
what Jay Wright
DMV.
goes and gets. He gets
You
those guys
walk
that are-
around and say, I happen to be the all-time winningest basketball player in the history of DeMatha's program. And shout out to Mike Jones. He was 33-5 last year.
Yep.
Like I said, math, St. John's did their best, but 66-10, I believe. That's just ridiculous. And you talk about Scribner winning 97 of his last 102. Like, what we got going on around here is worthy of gathering around a poker table on Tuesday nights and talking about for hours. But we're going to try to keep it to 20 minutes because our case studies have shown that more people listen to 20.
Case
We're going to try and
studies
keep
show.
it quick. But you know what? We could do this all day, couldn't we?
Yeah.
And we will. We're gonna pack some days this spring. We still haven't landed on a schedule for our broadcast. But we're working on just figuring that out. We're obviously doing the lacrosse championship. I know we committed to doing some form of baseball. We'll get to the baseball finals. Hopefully, a baseball game. We'll have to make that fun. We've got a mission there. We're working on the mission. Baseball coverage for the WCAC, and I just want to kind of transition from the spring sports really haven't launched too much yet. There's not a ton to talk about at this point in time, so I thought we'd get out tonight on more of a fun topic, an old school 3-round draft, 4 people, 3 rounds, 12 total picks. And I wanted to, and since I got no real feedback, did anything I said before strike you guys, or do you guys don't care which one of those I pick?
I'm with T. I'm always nervous about what you're about to pick.
Very much so.
But
It's like a roller coaster.
The
Let it
production
rip.
meeting we had the
A
production
couple
meeting.
names thrown out, but
Yeah.
no, everybody's game.
Okay. All-time offensive players. His all-time, regardless of sport, offensive players in the WCAC.
All right. Well, I have my first pick.
I have my first pick, and I bet it might be the same one. But
Go ahead, T. Go ahead.
So T, you get to go first. Obviously, we're
Adrian Dantley.
We're going clockwise.
I mean,
is Adrian Daly your first?
No, that's it. No, well, it should be. That's an amazing pick.
He's no longer still, but for how long was he the NBA scoring leader?
I want to say 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
No one on planet Earth scored more points in the sport of basketball than AD.
Yeah, and then going back to high school, maybe 5 or 6 years.
Hey, listen, he works out with my father-in-law. They're buddies, and they talk, and he doesn't talk about that stuff. He doesn't care. He used to work out at St. John's when we were there, Seal. Full court one-on-one against nobody. I was like, this guy's just working so hard, and he was done. It was just love of the game. Now he's out there, crossing guard.
Olympian, yeah.
Hanging out with the people. He doesn't need the money.
But now, yeah.
Refereeing basketball at Jelliff. Guys writing articles about wanting their son. McKenna wanted his son to get a technical foul just so his son could say, Adrian Dantley gave me a tech. And he said, my son's way too nice for a tech. And afterwards we were like, hey, this is fine. But that's because, you're going to have a hard time beating that first-round pick.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going to make you upset because I'm taking Lawrence Moten.
Why would you do that to me? I thought I was second. I gave T, and then you snuck
Well,
in
I said
there.
clockwise. We're going clockwise. Once you gave him the first pick, you made me, and I know that's who you wanted.
Pre-production said counterclockwise.
Yeah.
I have that written down.
Lawrence Moten, hey, out of respect to both of us, he's not staying on the board past the second pick. Lawrence Moten is gone. With the second pick, he's one of the most amazing athletes you will ever have had the chance to see with your own eyes. If you got the chance to see him with your own eyes, dominant on any field he played on.
Ken, he was the best football player I've ever seen in my life. He intercepted a pass against St. John's in 1989, took it back 107 yards, their only loss. He was a free safety. You couldn't throw a fade on either side of the field. He decides to play a little hoop, go up to Syracuse, lead the Big East in scoring, and as of right now, is still the all-time leading scorer in the history of Big East basketball. Wow. In my mind, in my era, I didn't grow up early enough to watch AD play. In my era, he's the greatest athlete in WCAC history, and just right behind Marvin Graves.
God, he was
so
much
you can
better.
take him.
Threw him the
He
ball,
was
but
so
I'm not
much
gonna
better of a
dismiss this
football
guy.
player too, which just is unbelievable.
Yeah.
6'5",
He would have
220.
He would have been, but
I
he
know.
chose a sport that gave longevity.
Absolutely. I would hate to have seen him get beat up playing football.
Business-wise, I think he
He
probably
would
made the
have
right,
been beating
the
people
best
up playing
decision.
football.
I know, but
man, he was
his
a
life would have been different.
dominant football player.
Yeah, let's not get all.
What do you got?
Let's get
Who's
all
your number
mushy
3?
about it. Number 3 scorer of all time.
Yeah, and we're snaking back, so you get 2 picks coming up.
Man, this is extremely tough. But I'm going to say this
Yeah,
to both
just
of you.
offensive players. It could be
Yeah.
anyone.
I'm going to take, with my first-round pick, the one stat that neither of those 2 amazing guys have ever had is a sophomore national player of the year.
First round draft pick.
Azzi
just
Fudd.
Steve
Fudd.
Turner on us.
Azzi Fudd.
No, that was me.
Hey,
that was
man.
Ken Marangolo. AZ Fudd's on my all tournament team.
All right.
Azzi
And then
Fudd is a sophomore
Steve, you know
National
it's true.
Player of the Year, Gatorade National Player of the Year. It's only been done. Only one person in the history of the sport of basketball with this prestigious award has
Who is
gotten
that,
it 3
Kevin?
times.
Who is that?
The King, LeBron James.
James.
So make way for the Queen and the future of women's basketball.
Well-
I can only say that because I believe in her spirit, her personality, her soul, and her parents. Forget about hoop. She's got it all.
She wouldn't have
She's
made
got
it past the
all.
second round.
And
a good
yeah,
job.
she wasn't getting back to you after you stole
wouldn't have made
Moten.
it past
I'm getting
me.
me. Yeah. Well, listen, there's no fools sitting around this table.
No, there are not. There's Dantley, Moten, Fudd off the board. Maddie, you get 2 picks in a row.
I guess I'll go Danny Ferry from
Gonna be my
DeMatha.
All right.
That was gonna be my
Not
pick.
not for the name reasons, but he was a scrapper.
Sure.
Coach Wooten
What-
product.
I mean,
Hard to not list him at 4.
No, he was ridiculous
for sure.
what do you got? You go back to back.
Well, that's tough to go back to back.
snakes.
We're gonna go with a friend of the show, Al Clark.
There you
He
go.
may not necessarily be somebody you would think to be up there, but
Oh,
when I look
I
back-
beg to differ.
Yeah,
I
he
look
he,
back-
he was
Right.
he was probably considered by some to be the best player in the WMAC.
at the
He was
time.
all
At
met
the
over.
time he
He was all
played.
met over me.
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is some people
He's
called
gotta
him
get my
that.
nod.
Some people called him that. Yeah, multiple people called him that.
Al.
Yeah, he was all of it.
Well, that allows me to say that I got that award over T. Strachan and Al Clark. Sophomore
You
year.
did?
I'm feeling pretty good about
Nice.
myself.
Oh,
right
are
now.
you as a sophomore?
Yeah, well,
Just like AZ? Is AZ following in your footsteps?
I would never say that sentence out loud. AZ follows her own path.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just here to
Still,
chop it up with you boys. But this comes back to me.
It does come
correct?
back to you.
All right. Well, I'm sticking with my St. John's-ness, and I like Seals footballness. But in 8th grade, a guy named Johnny Dessler, who we all grew up with, caught a touchdown against everybody and anybody in the season of the Soldier. And my dad's squad won it in '89. And that guy's, I'm not ashamed to say it now. Well, I might be ashamed now. It wasn't then. His picture was on my wall. I wore his number. I gave him a hard time when he went to the Hall of Fame because he couldn't remember. I said, I got 12 because Johnny Dessler wore 12. And he said, then I said, but I said that to Johnny Dessler. And he said, I wore 12? It's fun to check those guys that you've looked up to forever, but you don't forget. And I got Johnny Dessler right there with Azzi Fudd in my top scorers of all time.
And again, the category is offensive, but I think it leads to naturally to a scoring tendency. So I think in sticking with the theme of the show, I'm going to take also a friend of the show, and someone who was a great offensive player at the next level as well. Didn't finish at McNamara, but Lewis Bullock, a gifted offensive player on the basketball court.
I had that written in for you.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously Sweet
Lou.
Lou.
Yeah, Sweet Lou.
Unfortunately for a lot of Michigan fans, they're not too happy with him because they've vacated a few performances. as a result.
Not Sweet Lou's fault.
Not Sweet Lou's fault.
Your
Not Sweet
fault,
Lou's fault.
Michigan.
Yeah, your fault, Michigan. So Sweet Lou is off the board, and we're going back to T for 2.
All right. My first one's going to be a quick one. Eric Metcalf.
Yeah, that's
Bishop
a good one.
O'Connell. He was a three-time Pro Bowl selection for the Browns and the Chargers. He was an unbelievable football player, return specialist, played for a whole host of NFL teams. But a guy, when we were young, I can remember when my parents said, on a Friday night, they were trying to figure out what to do, and they said, we want to go see this guy, Eric Metcalf, play, because they always played on the Friday nights, them and Good Counsel back in the day, the only two teams that did. And I can just remember being in awe back then of watching him and watching his career and everything, which is, again, why we do this stuff.
Absolutely.
Because it's been ingrained in us for so long.
Let me just say, they ran lonesome polecat for Eric Metcalf, which means they spread the line out 5 yards apart, and the receivers. They put 11 football players 5 yards apart across the width of the 51 and 3/4 yard field, and the center would snap it to Metcalf, and he would go. That was it. Coach Darryl Snyder ran lonesome polecat, and then brought it back against us when we were all in high school when they had Terrence Wilkins over there at O'Connell.
That's right.
Darryl Snyder was a great man, a great coach, a great person, and he would tell stories to me and my dad about Eric Metcalf until the sun went down. And unfortunately for me at that age, that's exactly what happened a few times. Shout out Darryl Snyder. Great call, on Eric Metcalf, the lonesome polecat, and DK Metcalf, everyone's first receiver.
Yeah.
He's a nephew.
There you go.
There's an obvious reason why they're related.
First pick of the last round.
So I'm actually going to go back again to my childhood days, and he's not a scorer, but he was an incredible offensive player.
There you go.
Grayson Marshall.
Talk to
Point guard for St. John's. I want to say back in 86, 87.
Yep, I think so.
Went to Clemson, became the all-time assist leader
Yep.
at Clemson.
Bobby Hurley broke it.
I didn't get a chance to look it up yet, but still may be.
No, it was broken by
Was
Corciani,
it?
and then Corciani was broken by Hurley. But Grayson Marshall was
No,
the
no,
bar.
at Clemson.
At Clemson,
At
yeah,
Clemson.
yeah.
He still
I'm
may
talking
be
about the whole
at
ACC.
Clemson. I know,
He was
whole
yeah,
ACC,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
At Clemson now, I think still. But an unbelievable, and again, just a guy that, I loved watching because he played the game like Carly Rivera, in a way that he was the general on the floor, and he didn't have to score a whole lot of points, but he was one of the best facilitators in all of college basketball.
I mean, that comes back to me and my third-round pick. So I'm going to do the sentimental thing. I'm going to take this guy right here.
Oh,
Now, I think that there's
I love you, man.
the McNamara guy taking the DeMatha guy. Tim Strachan was a fun player to envision, under center for your team. He didn't play for my team, and I hated that about you. I still hate that about you. But
I played center for him. Relax.
Yeah, right.
I know. No, absolutely, man.
Oh, shucks,
I'm gonna go down the list of the people who
You're
I
not
would
going to
get.
make me cry, Roy. You're not going to make me cry.
You're on my team, and you know what?
Amphibious.
You're
Had
as-
to say it.
You're as offensive today as you've ever been in your entire life. Just for the record, we
Appreciate
continue to offend.
Appreciate it.
So congratulations.
I think that's a fantastic pick. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a solid pick.
All right,
okay.
Kev, what do you got?
I'm going to stick with, I'm a St. John's guy, but you just know what you know. And offensively, I had the joy of playing with a guy who is still a great friend to this day. The greatest baseball player I will ever witness. The sweetest swing. I'm sorry, Seal, but Kevin Gibbs.
Oh,
Kevin Gibbs
that's
played
where
on.
you're going.
Kevin Gibbs played on the baseball
Nice
team.
pull.
Well, listen, I batted leadoff. He
Yes.
batted third. I think I hit in a decent amount. I'm not going to say. His average doubled mine, and I was second on the team.
Yeah.
The guy hit near 700, and you knew that if someone called a strike and he looked back, as a 16-year-old, the umpire would be like, "Oh, I definitely missed that one," just by the expression on his face. But he was such a class act. He never, ever turned anyone out.
First team human.
He could
First
jump
team
through the
all
roof. He was the fastest. He broke Ricky Henderson's off a tee to first base record. We played basketball together, and I was like, "Dude, you can dunk." And he was like, "No, I can't." And I was like, "Just take this ball and stop slapping the backboard. Just dunk it." And he dunked it. He was like, "I can dunk." I was like, "Yeah, I know. That's kind of why I hate you and love you." Kevin Gibbs, absolutely on my first team, all offensive.
All right.
The greatest swing I will ever see in baseball from a 17, 16, 15-year-old.
You got
Well-
bring up the caboose on this one.
I got to stick with St. John's basketball player from France.
Yes, French.
Young man, Eric McCoon.
Oh, yeah.
Played basketball at Georgetown University. Left, I think, a year early to go serve in the French military. And he's still over there doing a whole bunch of good stuff on NBA coverage.
NBA French coverage. He won the slam dunk competition our sophomore year, I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah.
at Coalfield
Yeah.
House when
At
D.
the-
Brown did the pump thing, and we told him, pump
That's
up
right.
those shoes.
That's right.
He had the high top fade,
He did have
and that
the-
made us the same height. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm telling you, they listed him at 6'1". He was all of 5'10".
And a half, maybe.
360
And just-
windmill jam. Bruh, you've never seen
14,000 people go.
Just-
It was
nuts.
awesome. Yeah.
for a dunk contest. When dunk contests were just coming out.
Yeah.
And all he could say was, "Thank you. Thank you very much." He was the best, dude. Great pull.
There you
Great
have
pull.
it. That is how we're going to go out tonight.
Shout out Von
Eric.
Jones. Shout out Dwayne Simpkins.
Oh, we could.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we could go
No
all day
offense
long.
to
Honorable mentions.
anybody.
Yeah,
No.
a lot of
We're
honorable
just going from what we
mentions.
know, our era,
Yeah.
what we saw, what he saw, what I saw, what you guys saw.
We did no research. We actually came up with
No.
this minutes before the show.
Shout out
So
And you got
DeMarco
picked.
Helms and
And you got
Marshawn
picked.
Lloyd
And-
and
I got picked.
This is
Casey-
amazing. Deservedly so.
Caleb Williams and John Marshall and Dominic Logan Neely, even though it was more of a special teams than offense, but whatever. I can't wait to talk more about the WCAC spring sports and move into a broadcast schedule for the spring. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'd like to say thank you to Matt the Real Deal Seal.
It's going to be a great spring, boys.
Find him next time when you're watching us. See if you can't
I'll
find
be
him.
somewhere soon.
Yeah, like where's the real deal? Tim Strachan?
It's been awesome. It was a great show, guys. Good luck to the Lady Cadets. Good luck to Scribner. Good luck, guys. We're all behind you.
Yes, indeed.
Kevin Ricka?
Yeah, let's pull off that national championship, make our Christmas
get
dreams
that
come
wish.
true.
Yep.
Good luck to that Class Act program with everyone involved from top to bottom. It's what we do around here, and we're going to keep on talking about it.
On behalf of Basement Podcast Studios all across this land,
Everywhere.
but mostly in Kensington, Maryland, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was WCAC Spectacular. Still live. Still live.
See you, peeps. Thanks.
Man, shout out Mike Brown if anyone's